Welcome to RANEPA Expert Talks. I am happy to introduce you our guest of today, Santьяго Inьигуэs, the president of IE University in Madrid. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and thanks very much for having me here, Hannah.
Santьяgo, you've been working in business education for the last 2 decades. What are obvious achievements in this area at large?
Well, I guess business schools and management education centers at large have actually influenced and impacted the world of higher education. Today, MBAs and degrees in management are the hottest ticket across higher education studies, along with some other degrees in the areas of technology and data sciences or computer sciences. Managers who come to business schools have much better opportunities to climb up in positions in management and companies. But mostly, business schools have produced a very interesting new generation of entrepreneurs. I guess we are improving our environment by developing entrepreneurs who are creating new businesses across the board, who are changing the society where they live, and who are transforming the global world for the better.
Wow, that's interesting. Can you describe the modern trends in business education?
Sure, and I'm sure that many participants here at the GAIDAR Forum conference will realize that there are at least 3 major trends affecting management education, but also higher education at large. The first one, of course, is globalization. Some people believe that the increasing populism and nationalism is putting globalization at risk, but in fact, globalization is irreversible, partly because of the new generations, who are actually the best guarantee for the progress in globalization. Second, the technology. Technology is actually affecting the whole learning process, and it's making teaching and learning a much more personalized experience. This is probably the major contribution of technology. It's not just a question of being able to learn from distance or delivering massive programs. It's actually adapting education to the features and to the personality of each of the learner. And this is the major contribution of technologies. So regardless of your skills and capabilities, technology is making possible for you to study whatever you like. And the third major influence or factor is actually coming from diversity and the many different generations that now education has to target. If we think about life expectancy, and we think also about the needed extension of the retirement age, we may consider that probably universities have a great opportunity in targeting the senior population at our respective countries. Senior population, senior citizens need to update their knowledge and skills, and universities have not just an opportunity, but probably a moral duty to develop programs that can actually fit the needs of this very important and increasing segment of population.
Let's talk about new generations and new demands. What's need to be introduced in the system of higher education to meet new demands of new time?
Well, the new generations from millennials who are now exiting the master's degree programs to Generation Z and the youngsters are terrific. They are a fascinating generation because they're actually native in terms of the digital skills. They are very cosmopolitan and global oriented, and they have a very strong sense of commitment towards sustainability and towards social development. So we have a great opportunity with this raw material that is actually coming to our classroom, and we can make lots of things with them. At the same time, probably the major challenge for universities and business schools is actually how to meet the needs of these young generations, how to make them not just more employable, but also how to develop in them the needed skills in order that they jump into the global scene and transform the world for the better. And this requires on the side of the faculty to adapt to the new technologies. The role of the professor in the future is not being, the master professor who delivers a master session, a master class, but actually becoming the orchestrator of the learning process. We need to train our faculty in terms of delivering the best possible classes using technology or using apps or using everything that is at hand in order to bring out the best from these young generations.
Yeah. What would be the best way to incorporate new technologies in business education?
Sure. There's lots of ways, and virtually every single activity or task within the learning process can actually become influenced by technology. Let me give you some examples. We, for example, at IE University, we are using a virtual auditorium that provides the professor with the opportunity to deliver classes by streaming, using streaming, and reaching out an audience, a class, which can be attending those sessions from very distant latitudes. But in addition, the professor has a number of apps at hand that allows them to, for example, follow whether the class is attending those presentations with interest or they are boring. We have face recognition apps. So this enhances the whole learning process a lot because it helps the professor adapt their presentations to the interest of the audience. We also have many other apps that can be used in class in order to make it much more interactive. For example, polls, for example, questions, for example, other tools that can make participants interact among them. Of course, you may also include and insert videos or some other multimedia content in order to make the class much more enjoyable and much more palatable and effective in terms of the learning process. And this is just a sample. Of course, technologies are also influencing immensely the way we assess the skills of participants, the way we can actually measure the impact of a single class or a course, or the way we can actually gather information or convey knowledge or deliver case studies, for example, on companies, or in general, manage all sorts of publications.
I am very glad that RANEPA and IE University have joint program. Can you tell us more about this joint cooperation, please?
Sure, and I'm very proud of being a member on the board of RANEPA. I've been now on the board for the past at least 10 years, and I've seen the development of the institution becoming one of the leading centers of business education here in Russia, and also very influential in Europe and globally. But between IE University and RANEPA, we are now running and exploring exchange programs for our undergraduate students. Russia has become a pole of attraction, given its growth, given that Moscow in particular is also becoming an entrepreneurial hub. And Madrid is also a very entrepreneurial city, and IE University is a cradle for entrepreneurs. So this is just a way of looking for collaboration and exchange, and we look forward also enhancing many other programs and opportunities between our respective institutions.
Well, that sounds very challenging. And the last question is, can we call corporate universities an alternative to business schools?
I don't think they are an alternative. What we should probably do is consider that the educational universe or sector is composed of many different institutions. Universities can actually play a role not just for training the youngsters, preparing them to become more employable and global citizens. They can also run programs for executives and senior managers. And as I was saying before, they have not just an opportunity, but a moral duty to develop courses for the senior population. And global and corporate universities can actually collaborate a lot with universities and business schools. In fact, for example, we at IE Business School have an alliance, a joint venture with the Financial Times, the leading financial newspaper, in order to run customized programs for companies. And this brings both journalists and business faculty together to train those executives at companies. So this is just a sample of how business schools, along with some other institutions, can actually cooperate and collaborate with corporate universities. So they are not competitors or just substitutes, but actually they can become also very close partners for educational institutions.
Thank you very much, and thank you for being with us.
Thanks very much, Anna.